there, my name is Megan and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing a book review for Foe by Iain Reid. So I got this book from my library because I have always wanted to read Iain Reid. He is known as a thriller author, I believe. I'm Thinking of Ending Things is the book I think he's most known for, and I've never read anything by him. But I decided to pick up Foe because it has a sci-fi aspect to it, and y'all know I enjoy sci-fi. This book is fairly short compared to like other sci-fi type stories, and it's definitely speculative fiction. And I would say there's a slight thriller element into this, but I would not classify it as a thriller, definitely, because there's just not enough suspense to it. The way that I structure this review is I talk about what the book is about, I tell you what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, and then my overall thoughts and rating. So if you're interested in skipping to any one of those sections, I will put timestamps down below, and definitely check the description box because I put timestamps for spoilers down there as well. In Foe, we are following two main characters. We're following Henrietta and we're following Junior, and we are following from Junior's point of view. These two are married and they live in this part of the United States where there's a lot of farming. I don't recall if it says exactly what state they live in, but it's one of those states that, like the Great Plains type states. This is the near distant future. I want to say it's probably about 30 or 40 years from now. And what happens is one day this guy shows up at Junior and Henrietta's door and says that Junior has been chosen to go into space for this mission. And it's something that the government forces on you. You don't have a say if you're going to go or not. And what they learn is that only Junior is going. Henrietta cannot go. She's not allowed to go. And the mission lasts for 2 years. The man who relayed this message to Junior is called Terrence, and Terrence is obviously a government official, and he is portrayed as kind of having an ulterior motive. We learn more about him towards the end of the book, and as the events unfold, we do kind of piece the story together. But he tells Junior that he might be chosen for this mission, but then like a year or so passes and he shows up again and says that he has been chosen, and he basically moves in with them to start prepping Junior for this mission. So he starts interviewing Junior, interviewing Henrietta, monitoring Junior's like health and medical and all of that under the guise of preparing Junior for this mission. And what he tells Junior is that while he is in space, they're going to bring someone to keep Henrietta company. And what we learn is that it's a replica of Junior himself. I don't know if it's a clone or a robot or something, but they are going to basically duplicate Junior so that Henrietta is not left alone by herself without her husband for several years. So that is what's presented as the premise of this story. And I'm going to jump into the things that I do like. So firstly is the premise, because I found that to be just a very bizarre premise. It definitely falls into the same vein as like Philip K. Dick and Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, because, you know, in that book there are people and animals that are created to be so human-like and animal-like, to mimic living things that it's hard to tell that they are not natural living things. So we kind of are in the same vein with Junior, because there's going to be a replicate staying with his wife. So a very interesting premise and a bit disturbing too, because if this replicate thinks, acts, and interacts with Henrietta like Junior would, then it's almost like giving her a new husband and displacing Junior. So just that whole thing was just a little bit unsettling. I really loved the themes in this book. So I enjoy books that are intelligently written and make me think and reflect, and this fell into that category. So some of the themes and ideas that were presented that made me think and I really enjoyed is what exactly makes us human. So what defines a human? Is it our biological characteristics? Is it our mind? What exactly makes a human? And if we were able to create a being that mirrored how we think and our biological processes, even though it was created by man, would it still be considered a human? Next was the idea of self-awareness. So I know that, you know, intelligent beings are self-aware. What does that actually look like? What does that actually entail? Regardless of recognizing that we exist, but just kind of going from self-awareness to self-actualization. So what ultimately will make us 100% happy in life? How do we know what our purpose is? When will we reach our ultimate potential? We're following Junior as he is going through all of these things. So trying to understand what it means to be human, becoming, you know, more self-aware, trying to figure out his purpose in living. and not only his purpose in living, but how can he be the best version of himself. I also really like the role that memories played in this story. I usually read The Giver with my seventh grade students, and there is a big theme with the importance of memories in that story, and it kind of reminded me of this one because Junior oftentimes is reflecting on his memories, the memories that he had regarding his wife Henrietta, the first time he met her, first time he saw her, their marriage or the day they got married, and just all of these good memories surrounding his wife. And we see a lot how that plays into his perception of her and how he feels about her. Um, and we also see how he is lacking a lot of memories and what the lack of memories is doing to him. And that plays into the story as well. So I always think of memories as a way, as our past, a way for us to not only relish in the good things that happen to us, but also to learn from things that we might have messed up on, kind of gain experience. And if we didn't have those memories, then we wouldn't be able to reflect on our actions, especially our mistakes, and be able to improve. So when I have books that kind of introduce the importance of memories, I always think of just bettering oneself through learning from past mistakes. Because if we couldn't remember that we messed up, then we could never learn from it. And then finally, we do get some themes, and I would consider this like a secondary theme because I feel like Junior's journey of becoming his own individual triumphed over the theme of marriage in this book. So, like I said, this is from Junior's point of view, but Henrietta definitely expresses to Junior a couple of times her unhappiness with the way that things are, their marriage, just her life in general, because they live in this small house in the middle of nowhere. There are these corporations that farm all around them. No one lives out there, so they really don't have a lot of interactions with people. And Henrietta wants to go to a big city. She wants just something more for her life. So even though we're not in Henrietta's head, we do also get that theme of just wanting more for yourself. So I think that ties into the self-actualization. But we do definitely see how these two are struggling in their marriage and struggling to understand each other, more so Junior to Henrietta than Henrietta to Junior. Henrietta is doing a good job of trying to communicate to Junior and let her know her thoughts and feelings. And then we see Junior, because we're in his head, learning how to learn his wife, learning how to respond to her, learning how to meet her needs to the best of his ability. And even though it's a short book, he does change a little bit over time as he is learning his wife and learning, how to make the marriage work. And the last thing I really liked was the ending. So there was like a slight twist at the end. I kind of actually, not kind of, I did see where the story was going at a certain point fairly early on. So the twist at the end made a lot of sense to me, and it was easy to see coming. And there definitely was some foreshadowing, some blatant foreshadowing, where Henrietta is telling about something that she would love to do. And then at the end of the book, she does that thing. So I am going to discuss spoilers right now regarding the ending. So if you have not read this book, please check the timestamps down below. I will pick up when I discuss the things that I didn't like. So the twist at the end is that Junior, whose point of view we've been reading from, is actually the replicate. So the whole time we are thinking that it's Junior, the actual Junior, who's going into space. But then we learn that the real Junior has been in space this whole time. Henrietta has been living with a replicate. And we are basically following this being, this created being, as he is learning to become human. And it was very easy to see that early on because all of the memories that Junior had were of when he first met Henrietta. He didn't have any like childhood memories or family memories, none of that. And just some of the ways that he approached the world and approached situations were just a bit innocent seeming or naive seeming. And he had to learn. So at the end, the real Junior comes back from space, is reunited with Henrietta. And like I said, even before the replicate came in, the real Junior and Henrietta were having a lot of tension in their marriage because Henrietta had been telling Junior, I'm not happy, I don't want to live here anymore, and he'd just been ignoring, all of her thoughts and feelings. And then when he came back from space, he continued to do the same thing and only focus on himself and wanted to only focus on his time in space and really just only wanted a woman there to listen to him and serve him without reciprocating, the love and generosity. So what Henrietta does is she ends up leaving, and what we can infer is that she sends a replicate of herself to go live with her husband, Junior, a replicate who will do exactly what he wants and doesn't really think for herself because that's the kind of woman that the real Junior wanted. And it doesn't say if the replicant junior lived, because they made it sound like since he had completed his mission of living with Henrietta and being a stand-in while the real junior was in space, that he was going to be disposed of. So as we are reading the book, we see the relationship between Henrietta and the fake junior kind of blossom into a friendship, and maybe a little bit more, as he starts to try and understand her, which her husband never did. So she might have went to see if she could find the fake junior and be with him, or she just left her husband to go move to the city and do what she always wanted to do. So this book does have a bit of an open-ended ending. There are a couple different possibilities on what exactly happened, but it's very clear, even though Iain Reid doesn't explicitly say it, what Henrietta did. So I just thought it was a very clever ending, kind of an interesting way to tie up all the loose ends of the story. As for the things that I didn't like so much, I mean, I can appreciate a good novel that addresses struggles in marriage, but I honestly would have preferred if the book would have been, if you're gonna like include a theme about struggles in marriage, like show how it's resolved, show how to fix it. Like, I just felt like Henrietta leaving was just too easy of an answer. I don't know. I guess I just like happy endings, and I like love stories that are able to survive, and people growing old together. So the fact that she did what she did at the end, I don't know, I was a little bit disappointed. I just would have liked to see more of like a happy ending with regards to the actual Junior and Henrietta. But so to be honest, guys, that was really my only dislike. I ended up really enjoying this book. It was hard for me to put down. It was a tad bit slow in places, but the way that the author crafted the story was enough to keep me engaged. It's not a long book at all. It's a super easy read. And for such a short book that is super easy to read, he really, really incorporated a lot of deep themes that make you stop and think. And I will definitely be picking up more of Iain Reid's books in the future. So I ended up giving Foe 4 out of 5 stars. All right, you guys, that is it for my review of Foe by Iain Reid. Let me know in the comments if you've read this book or if you've read any of his other books. If you have any ones that you would recommend to me, go ahead and leave that as a comment down below, and I will see y'all in another video soon. Goodbye.